Welcome to a Blender game character. In this course, I'm going to show you how to create a game character from scratch. And the inspiration for this character comes from an old cartoonsmart.com video where Justin shows you how to draw this guy in Flash. But what I'm going to do is show you how to make him in 3D in Blender. A Blender game character is not an introductory course to Blender. If you're new to Blender, I recommend a Blender Quick Start, which is a free course that I have available. And if you are comfortable with this course, then you'll probably be fine with Blender game character. If you hear me say Alt, for you Mac users, use Option. If you hear me say Control, for you Mac users, you might think Command, but you should use your Control key on your Mac. Now there's a few rare cases where if I say to save on the Mac, you could use Command S or open a new document, Command N or Command Q. I don't think I even say those things. I usually only talk about when you need to use the Control key, and for both Mac and Windows, it is the Control key. Often in this course, and in using Blender, you'll use the number pad to change your 3D view from to front, right, top, back, left, bottom, and to toggle the perspective on and off. If you don't have a number pad, you can always choose those functions from the View menu. You can also go under the File menu, User Preferences, Input, and select Emulate Number Pad. This will map the numbers that are above the QWERTY keys to the corresponding number pad functions. Blender takes advantage of all three mouse buttons, left, right, and the middle mouse button. The middle mouse button, when you click it and drag, you can rotate your view. If you hold your middle mouse button and the Control key, you can zoom in and out. Or if you hold the middle mouse button and the Shift key, you can pan around your screen. What if you don't have a middle mouse button, or you just don't like clicking it because it's a wheel, for example? Under File, User Preferences, Input, we can select Emulate 3-button mouse. When you have Emulate 3-button mouse selected, you can press your Alt or Option if you're on a Mac, and the left mouse button. So this is the same as a middle click. It's Alt, left mouse button. You can do Alt, Control, left mouse button to zoom in and out. This is the same as Control, middle mouse button. And you can do Shift, Alt, left mouse button, which is the same as Shift, middle mouse button. By the end of the first section, you'll have made this figure here. We're just going to start with the Blender default startup file. Let's hit 1 on the number pad to look at it from the front, then hit 5 to look at it orthographically. We'll mouse wheel in a little bit, then Tab to enter edit mode, Control R to add a ring cut, left click to accept it, and then hit escape so it ends up right in the center. I'm going to turn off the limit selection to visibility. Type A to deselect that, then B to get our boundary selection. Select these two vertices, hit X to delete the vertices. I'm going to come over here to our modifiers, add a modifier, mirror, turn clipping on, and we'll turn this on so we can see it in edit mode as well. So just mouse wheel out, and then pan up a little bit with Shift middle mouse button. I'm going to turn this widget off. and I'm going to do a standard 8-figure high character, 8 head high character. That's 8 heads is pretty much heroic proportions. And I'm going to treat each one of these grid squares as if it were a head high. So I'm going to move this up, A to deselect, B to select those, G to move up, just almost up to this line. Deselect that, move this in, Control R to create another ring cut, R to rotate it, S to scale it, X along the X axis. That's our waist. Control R, move it up to right about there. That's going to be about where our pecs are. I'll bring this in a little bit. Let's look at it from the side. Select everything, scale, just along the Y to bring it in. We'll push this in a little bit for the back. Moving this a little bit forward. Looking around, it's already starting to look like a torso. I'm going to add a ring cut here. And then select all the way around here. I'm doing an Alt-right click. And then I'm going to just scale in a little bit. That way we've rounded out the shape. In fact, I'm going to take this and scale just along the Y some more. One more ring cut down the center. Bring that right in. And now I'm going to turn on limit selection again. Here's where we'll extrude our leg out of. We can turn faces on and select that. And then E to extrude. I can bring the legs in, rotate them. Let's bring it down. We're just roughing out the shape right now. It's going to look goofy for some time until we get a chance to really tweak it. So let's get the right proportions, and that'll make our lives quite a bit easier down the line. And go for a ring cut here. I'll hit escape so it's down the center. Then Alt S to scale it out just along the normals. See how that looks? Alright. Control R, we'll bring another here. I'm going to click that limit visibility on again. We'll scale it. I toggle that on and off quite a bit. So and sometimes when I don't want to click the button, I hit the Z key. Again, we're just figuring out proportions as we work on this. Control R. Then I do Control Tab to easily switch between the different vertex, edge, or face selection modes. Let's get this guy's arms out here. Scale it down a little bit. His arms probably going to be around here. And then hands a little further. I really enjoy sketching in Blender like this. I think it's one of the things that make Blender a good artist tool, is that you can really move pretty quick. So these two, I would like these to be in a little bit. And the same thing with these tops. Just rounding out the arms. So I'm going to get more organic of a feel. Get a rib cage in here. Now we're going to do the hands, feet, and heads separately. GG to edge slide. GG again, just a little edge sliding in. And round out this spot by bringing these vertices in. And I still want to pull around this whole thing out a little bit. So let's do Alt-B and just view this part. We can look down. His arms. Just hide some of that information. Make it not so busy. Then Alt-B to show everything again. This one and this one I think need to scale on the X. That's, oh, I'm sorry, scale along the Y. Oh, there we go, that's looking better. Pulled in a little too much, so I'm going to type W, and then I'm going to select smooth, flatten it out a little. Let's get the middle of this knee in. When I make figures, I'm not very mechanical in my process. I don't have like a specific set of rule. Well, that's not true. I don't do it very algorithmically. I tend to build it as I'm sketching, so my figures can come out somewhat different. Control 1 just to look all the way in the back real easily. He's got a little hip bone, or not the hip bone, but the leg that comes out of the hip there. Thick in the middle, so I don't want to limit. I'm going to select all the way through, scale along the Y. This is a little extreme, so we'll resolve that a little bit more later as we work on it. In fact, let's try smoothing that. Smooth is like your best friend in Blender. Little GG there, just moving that along the vertex, or along the edge. Here for the hip. Maybe make his waist a little bit narrower. see me rotating around quite a bit as my brain tries to figure out what looks right and what doesn't. You try and do the paths similar to the muscle shapes, at least to the best of what you can do. It helps you when you are trying to really sketch this out. Be thinking about the muscle groups that are involved. A lot of tweaking that we'll do along the way. Not all that will be done just in this lesson, but we're getting the basic shape. I'm going to switch to proportional editing down here by hitting O, type G, and pull out a chunk there. And O to turn it back off again. We can also, while we're at it, throw on one more modifier, subdivision surface. We'll bump that up once. Tab to take a look at it. There we go. That's coming along. I didn't want that selected. Now I'll push that in low. There we go. Definitely humanoid. Well, let's go ahead and take a break, and then we'll move on to our next lesson. Oh, and let's save. I'm going to call it Hero 1.